up, guys? So I'm here today installing the turbo gauge unit for the Chevy Sonic for the middle of the dash. Here it is. This is what was in the box. I got a sticker from ZZP and then the unit itself. Seems like a pretty sturdy construction, like a high-grade plastic. But yeah, so then I'm also going to be installing this little turbo gauge for the car. So yeah, pretty exciting. Alrighty guys, so here we are in the car. So this is the area right here where we're going to be installing the new turbo cluster, and what I've heard is that it's a pretty easy install. So yeah, looking forward to doing it. Alrighty guys, this is where we're at currently. So what you're gonna have to do to get what you're really trying to do is just get this top part off. But what I found to be easiest was to actually take off the front mounting plate for the radio and vents. I'm pretty sure it would work the same way even if you have the non-touchscreen radio, but on each of those they have little clips. Let me just focus the camera. These little clips right there. So yeah, you're just gonna have to unclip those. Easiest way I found is usually just to use either a flathead screwdriver, or if you have a specific plastic prying tool, that would probably work a little bit better. But if what you're working with is just, you know, screwdrivers, then you should be fine. And so what this, there's a couple mounting points here. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 2 on the bottom. So there's a couple different points you're gonna have to do to take it off. But once you do, this part is actually mounted by 4 of those brackets as well with there being 2 parts on the front as well. So there's those right there, and then there is these guys. There's 4 of those. So I actually started with the back here. I just kind of put my screwdriver in there and then just kind of pried up and got the back up first, and then pulled a little bit, and then it came right off. So yeah, not too difficult to get off. And now let's get our new unit in. Alrighty guys, so here we are, we're getting our new unit in. So just like how you took the first component off of the car, you're gonna put the brackets back basically just right where it was. Right there, there's the 4 in the back. You can actually take the metal contacts off of your old OEM parts. You take those off, and then you can actually put them onto the ZZP parts. Right now I have it on without that, and it seems actually pretty steady, but I would recommend still going ahead and putting those other parts on, so then it won't be moving at all. So you put those on and get our other mounting plate back on, and you should be good to go. And then you'll be able to add some gauges. Alrighty guys, Finally got the gauge and the ZZP center console turbo mount all installed. The mount itself took literally like maybe 10-15 minutes, and I've covered that previously in the first part of the video. The turbo boost gauge, I was new to that, so that took quite a while. But here's the gauge itself. Let me turn it on here. So I had a Glowshift turbo boost gauge and vacuum gauge, and I ended up so the where you have to run the vacuum line for the gauge. There's this little green and black vacuum line that's at just behind the intake manifold, and that's where you can tap into for your vacuum line. It's much easier, I kind of found out afterward, actually get underneath the car. There's a lot more of the line to work with, rather than I was messing with maybe this much line to tap into, and that took a lot longer than I really needed to be working at it. So yeah, that is where I tapped into for the line. It's working perfectly. And then I ran that through the passenger side. I drilled a hole, not a very big one, went through there, sealed the hole up with silicone around the edges so it doesn't mess with the line or anything. Ran it up through the center console to the back of the turbo gauge. And then there was 4 wires for the turbo gauge. We had our illumination, or we have a red constant one, or a 12 volt constant one, ignition switch, ground, and a dimming one. So the 12 volt constant I found from the radio wiring pack. It is a red and blue wire. And then I also tapped into the ground that was on the radio wiring harness. And then I ran a wire from the cigarette lighter for my ignition switch. And then I found the easiest way for me to run the dimming function, so it turns on when the lights are on. I ran that directly from the running lights up front. Wasn't too bad, just went through, just tapped into the line, went back through, and then just ran it back up through the console, and then wired everything up, and yeah, it works good. And yeah, so it wasn't too bad of an install. If I was a bit more knowledgeable about cars and all that, then it probably would have been a little quicker. But yeah, so it went pretty good. The ZZP turbo, or not the turbo holder, turbo boost or gauge holder. There's room for 2 gauges. No complaints there. It is a great replacement. It's made of steady, hard plastic, and would definitely recommend it. And it's a very easy install for that. The gauges are a little bit more tough depending on which gauge you have and how you run it and how much experience you have. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps you with your install of your gauges and your ZZP center console turbo mount.